Can you guys hear my heart beating? So loud. Molly, I'm sorry, I have to quote you, but my friend's here and she said, it's okay, you're not gonna die or get pregnant. Thank you for that. So that's a good thing. And we're not supposed, Chris, you said we couldn't talk, or we should not talk about how we got here, but you totally stole like a minute of my story by telling the whole fling definition thing, so too bad. Wing rhymes with fling, so it's okay. But this happened really randomly. I was at a get-together last week, and I told kind of a funny story about something my father had did when I was younger. And then that got a little giggle, and then more people showed up, and my friend asked me to tell it again, and Micah was there, wherever you are. And he was like, you should do Tell Newport. And I was like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to do that. And we were just talking about it. He's like, well, I'm the person who signs people up, so I'm just going to sign you up. And I was like, well, what's the theme? And he's like, Summer Fling. And I thought, I'm going to crush this. Like, yeah, totally. Like, I'm 37 years old. I have 37, years of fling experience. I'm like a commitment phobe, like globe-trotting, addicted to traveling. Like, I'm totally going to crush this. But, I started, and I have had a lot, and I'll give you a couple of examples of just a short little snippet of my favorites, and I'll circle back around. But one of my first summers in Newport, I was renting a room in a house that, there were sailors in and out. And I had just had like a little talk with myself that morning, and I was like, I am not going to date this summer. Like, I'm going to romance myself. I'm going to be single. Like, that's it. And it was a serious talk. And then later on that day, I'm in the kitchen, and I'm thinking I'm by myself, and I'm washing dishes and singing like some obnoxious song at the top of my lungs, like probably Spice Girls or something. And all of a sudden, I hear this like rustling behind me, and this voice goes, excuse me, comment ça va? And I'm like, throw a glass in the air, it shatters all over the floor, and scream bloody murder, and turn around, and there's like the most handsome, tall, dark, and handsome like French guy just standing in the middle of the kitchen. And he's like, oh, je regrette, pardon, I moved in last night, I didn't mean to start to you. And I just like look at the ceiling, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, proverbial delete text thread of like all the whole talk I had with myself, and that was my like fling this summer. Like, it was a test. It was like the universe is going, are you serious? Like, you're seriously gonna romance yourself this summer? Like, fuck you, I'm gonna put this like tall guy, French guy in your kitchen, and we'll see how committed you are. So that's how, okay, and then other flings I've had. So I was the Princess Esperanza at medieval times. Do you know what that is? Yeah. Like, where you like eat with your hands and you drink mead and you call your waitress a wench and like the knights joust and stuff. Yeah, 6 years I did that. Really cool. And I had, over those 6 summers, I think I probably had 6 flings with like all of the knights. Really cool 17-year-old like dating knights who, by the way, do not take their chainmail tights off when you go to Shoeless Joe's to have a drink afterwards. Like, they're really cool. So I'm just thinking about all these things. I'm like, which story should I tell? And, I was having like a hard time kind of choosing what I was going to focus on, and nothing kind of felt right. And I'm up here because this is kind of a scary story for me, because it makes me seem kind of nuts, and I felt kind of nuts when it's happening, and this stuff sort of happens to me quite often. But I was on a road trip, and I was stopped at a gas station, and the cashier said to me as I was leaving, he was like, excuse me, miss, would you like a rose? And he was giving away, some roses that were too old to be sold, I guess. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. Yes, thank you. And it's this beautiful white rose, and I put it in a water bottle, and it sat beside me, and we took off, and it kind of became my co-pilot, I guess. And I was like talking to her like she was a human. Like, I was like, yeah, what should we listen to? Or should we stop and get something to eat? Okay, cool. And yeah, I'm a nerd. And I stopped, and it was kind of the golden hour, and I was having a snack, and I was watching the sunset, and it was just like, you ever have like one of those just perfect moments, like it's so perfect that it hurts, like you feel that pressure on your chest, like it's so perfect, and the light was coming in, and it was just falling perfectly on this beautiful rose, and like the wind, wafted in the window and like wafted the scent of the rose, like up to me, you know, this kind of thing. I was like, oh my God, like, my nose hurts. And I looked over and you know, I noticed the edges of the petals were kind of starting to go, like it was they just a little bit, they were starting to go brown a little, and I noticed like the shadow kind of thing, and I just started thinking about like, you know, the flings, the impermanence of sort of everything. And those moments hurt so much because you know you can't keep them. You know they're not going to last. And I think sometimes we keep ourselves from having like really authentic moments like that because we do have to let them go. You know, so we rush around and we have these flings and we don't sort of sit and really take in like that sort of heart-wrenching beauty as it's happening. And I will say, like, in that moment, I really did fall in love with this flower. I did. And you know, the pressure on my, you know, that you get that, like, heart-wrenching kind of twisting feeling, like that pressure on your chest. It got so great that my heart really actually did break in that moment. And I swear to God, like, my heart bloomed. And there was kind of this opening, and to my shock and surprise, this flower, I could speak fluent flower, apparently, because this, like, it just, like, I turned into one or something, and she, you know, she started to speak to me, and she said, you know, don't be saddened by death. Don't be saddened, because nothing ever dies, nothing ends. And as my heart's beating, I'm feeling it up in my throat, and I'm thinking, like, not even the heartbeat ends. You know, it keeps going. It never, ever, ever takes a break. And she said to me, honor this moment, honor my blooming, and the courage that it took for me to open for you, to have this moment and to enjoy me. Honor that and honor each other, because you really are flowers too. You know, and it doesn't last, except it does. Because like you said, Chris, like, the flings just transform into something else. And I also realized that I'm, like, really bad at letting things go. I never, like, really bad. And I think a lot of us are. Like, I mean, it's hard for me to throw out, like, old gum. I had a gum collection when I was a kid. Like, I used to keep it. It was as big as my head, and I kept it in my Rainbow Bright fridge until my mother made me throw it away. You know? And after, I just was thinking about that, and I've had a really, you know, I'm a mutable person, and I'm traveling, and I'm changing, and I'm having all these different experiences, and I think that I'm just so laid back and so whatever, but I've really held on to all of those things. And I'm saying this because I think that we're all kind of in this place, like, cosmically, astrologically, whatever you want to call it right now, where, like, we're really changing, like, we're leaving our old ways behind, and we really kind of have to step up and be different. And that's a really hard thing. And I think it's hard for us to leave behind what we have known, but we really have to. And it doesn't mean that it's gone. Nothing ever dies, you know, it really does just transform, and it's remembered in the stories we tell and the experiences that we have, and it transforms into something new. You know, the petals fall from the flower, and it nourishes the ground, and it creates, like, a new earth for all of our children that come afterwards. And believe it or not, I still have not let her go. she's here. I went home, like, and it was just like, I really, even the next day, like, after that, like, I was so connected to everything. I had a hummingbird. I was coming out of my hotel room, and I felt, you know, this buzzing by my ear, and I swatted at it because I thought it was a bug. And you know, I hit it, so I was like, oh. And I turned, and I swear this hummingbird was like this, like a foot away from my eye level, and it just, like, hovered there. We had this, like, moment. It was like 15 seconds long, you know, and kind of became the flower. Like I recognized myself and like all these other humans, you know, as flowers in this big garden that just keeps blooming and changing. And the greatest fling that we can have, or the greatest romance, is the romance we have with ourselves and with each other all the time. And I guess I'm here telling this story because I'm in a place where the fling that I've had with the old me is kind of over. I think a lot of us can, probably maybe all of us can relate to that right now. And it's really hard. But a butterfly, even like when it's in its cocoon, I feel like we've all, like as a collective, as a humanity, kind of been in this cocoon. And it has to dissolve, like it literally turns to primordial goop. It does. Look it up, it's fascinating. And we're gooping. And it kind of sucks. But we'll take pieces of the old us with us, you know. And the flowers turn into new flowers. And I took her home with me, and I literally meditated every morning and like watched her die. It was the most intense meditation I've ever had. Like she but she lived for a long time because I gave her that love and attention, and I honored her, you know, like as she'd wanted me to, and it makes a difference. And I hope that we can move forward from tonight and keep doing that with each other. And that's all I have to say. So thanks for listening.